back to the channel, guys. I hope everybody's good. I hope nobody's panicking. um I want to kind of talk about a few bits and bobs, kind of talk about the past. You guys know my slogan. My name is Sham, this is your X-Files, and the truth is always out there. So what you'll see is, I think it was a few weeks ago, or maybe close to a week ago. I think it was like the end of last month, where I said to everyone, guys, we've just lost the 82 point something K, and things aren't looking good. So prepare for the worst. Now, I know a lot of people probably thought, what the hell is this guy talking about, right? Prepare for the worst. I mean, what could happen, right? We're sitting at 82K, for God's sake. He didn't mention prepare for the worst when we went and bounced around the 78K last time. Didn't say anything, right? I was still bullish, right? Everybody knows I'm bullish, 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 right? I have a stop loss at 76K. I've talked about it. I've been public about it. So I'm not panicking at that price. But why am I panicking now, right? Because there are some fundamental factors in there. And of course, we've got all the macro geopolitical nonsense as well. I see loads of people here. I will definitely give you guys a shout out. But let me get through this piece. So I think it was like 6-7 months ago, probably 8 months ago, where I was once asked by one of our members on Discord, what do I think the market's going to do, like kind of a prediction. So I made a rough guesstimate. I used some of my weird maths that I do. This is like some next level stuff that I do. I did that, and I did a calculation, and according to my calculation, it was like, how long do I think the bull market's going to be going on for? So this is me about 7 months ago, and I said, guys, so far my maths is telling me end of March. I can't go beyond that. I just don't have the data. So of course, that's not an excuse anymore, because I do have the data. And as we progress, things change, right? And so far, the data is not looking strong. So the data is good, but it's not looking strong. So I will tell you exactly what needs to be done at this particular stage. But if you're here for the first time, my name is Sham. This is 0x5. The truth is always out there. One of what you'll find very unique in this channel is I'm not here every single day. I'm not here for the views. I don't give a damn about the views. I'm not here to grow my channel and become some super subscriber or whatever. I'm not here trying to earn. I work hard. I do everything I need to do in a real life, and I grind. And that's how I earn my living. YouTube's not my means of earning anything. Of course, if it becomes something, that's a whole different story. But right, the way I look at certain things is quite unique, because I'm not looking at what other people are looking at. I don't care what other YouTubers do. In fact, and this is 100% the truth, right? I did not look at my charts until the last time I looked at it. It's unbelievable. I did not look at it at all, right? So I just looked at it today, and it's 79K. I was like, wow, okay, 79K. All my notifications are switched off, because they only activate when my stop loss activates. I've mentioned this before. I want to be calm. I want to stay, in control of the situation. So my situation is, it needs to go to 98K. I need to readjust my stop loss, or it needs to go to 76K, and it needs to get me out of the market, one or the other. So last week, I actually spoke to a whole bunch of my paid clients. So these are the people I consult with. I spoke to them. And once we lost that 82.4, I think it was, once we lost that, because that was a major support. It doesn't matter if we go above again. It doesn't matter. We lost that. We broke past that. That was the most important thing. Once that happened, I had to make the most difficult call, right, of this season. Because remember, crypto, bull run, bull market, they're two different things. So we can have a bull run any single day. We can have it in a minute, in an hour. It doesn't matter. A bull market is what we had, right? And you're probably understanding what we had. I'm saying in past tense, because it could potentially be over, right? So I had to make the most difficult call, because I'm talking to people with hundreds of thousands of dollars, pounds, right? Or even some people with millions in crypto. So I'm having to make this very difficult call, because that's what they pay me for. They pay me for that one crucial, important signal. Sham, you tell us when to buy. Sham, you tell us when to sell. So last week I had to make that call, and I said, guys, I think it's time we need to prepare for the end. So some of my clients turned around and said, right, are you sure? I said, I think I'm sure. I'm, percentage wise, I'm 51% at least. That's more than 50%. Actually, no, I'm joking. I said to them, I said, guys, I feel the market's over because we have lost that 82K. We could potentially now go and test the lower levels. And if we do, we're just going to have this cascading effect where it's like a house of cards where the top card falls, every other card just keeps on bouncing and falling. There's nothing. You can't keep it stable anymore. The foundation is going to collapse. So I said, let it bleed. Let it bleed. Target a lower number to buy back again, but let it bleed. And if you're at the 82K, the 83K, the 84K, whatever the level, sell, sell, sell. Right? So of course, we're kind of feeding the system because the system is wants to take now. So the big boys, the big players are now all ready to take their funds out. So they're literally gonna take everybody, whatever they got, they're gonna literally rape people, right? I'm being honest. People are gonna lose a lot of money. So I said, guys, if people are gonna lose a lot of money, what do? You get out there and you do the same thing. So yeah, just go with the flow, follow the money. If the money's gonna pull out before them, or you can be the one left behind. So what do you want to do? So they said, like, we're gonna sell. So they started dumping. I said, happy days, right? So we're all there. Of course, I've had other conversations with a few other people. In fact, I think I've spoken to a couple of our subscribers, a couple of our own community members as well, regarding some solutions out there, because there's a whole bunch of funds out there right now, and people want to kind of reshuffle it into USDT, USDC, and XYZ. So it's all whole different stuff. People are reinvesting. Let's put it this way, right? Because that's what I'm doing as well. So everyone's pretty much following what I'm doing. So I just wanted to get this across because that's what I feel now. Because we have a lot more data now. So 7 months ago, or 7 or 8 months ago, I can't remember, I did say that, guys, until the end of March, that's when the bull market may end. That's the signal I'm getting. I don't care what other people say, that's the signal I got. And so far, that signal has been accurate. Now, the other signal that I have got with the data that I have right now is saying, guys, we're coming in for a reset. And that's a freaking good thing, right? But the reset isn't going to be around the levels we wanted. I think this reset is going to be a little bit lower, which is a good thing, right? Maybe, around the 70, 71K, maybe even 60K. If we're lucky, we might even get a 40K. Now, note down the numbers because I'm not just throwing these numbers at random, because these are actual numbers, even as low as 34K, right? So what we want to do now is have orders placed around those levels, because those are the levels where we're going to execute those orders, where we're going to buy them up, we're going to snap them up, right? So we're starting to DCA into the market. So remember, I'm not the type of guy who goes around buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip because I want to protect my funds. I don't give a damn about that. I'm well protected, believe me, right? I don't just preach, I do what I preach, right? And I've done it before I preached it. You see what I mean, right? So I obviously teach from my experiences, from the actions that I take. This is what I like to kind of tell you guys, because that's my foundation, right? I'm only telling you what I've done already, right? I'm not out there waiting for you guys to go and protect my funds and this and that. End of the day, it works. And now listen to me carefully. I'm being complete transparent here. It works. And I'll tell you how it works. If I had 1 million subscribers today, 1 million subscribers, right? And I want to move the market, then I can move the market with you. All I have to do is buy or sell before you, right? And then use that community, because that's exactly what a lot of influencers are doing. I'm not that guy. I've always been transparent about that. And the truth is always out there. You can go and watch any of the videos. The truth is out there. The dates, the predictions, and all of that. So let's get to the gist of this, right? So the way I look at it is, one, yes, the market has given me the signs so far, right? That the market's over. So I've already taken action, as I've mentioned before as well. And I think I mentioned like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I can't remember, but I mentioned specifically a few times, more than one time. I've mentioned this on a live stream. I mentioned it on Discord, and I said, guys, 76K is my exit point. And then I'm going to wait for it to go lower. And I don't care if it keeps on falling, I'm going to DCA in. And rather than DCAing in once, I'm going to start DCAing in like 10% at a time, 10% at a time, 10% at a time. Because I want to accumulate as much as I can for next season. And here's the fun part. Next season isn't far off. This is how crazy and insane the markets work, right? But your psychology, your mentality has to also work with what the market does, right? When you work in stocks and bonds and shares, there's a pattern. You watch that, politics related and whatnot, right? So you know how the market's going to work in a particular way. I knew Donald Trump coming into power wasn't going to be good for the globe in some form or a manner, but I also knew he was going to be great in another form. Now you probably think, what the hell is this guy talking about? Well, let's talk about it. We've got global tariff wars right now. It's like a freaking world war, right? World tariff war. WTW, whatever, right? We'll call it, right? But that's what's going on, right? Now, obviously, there are some crazy stuff going on because there were some people talking about how there's a few countries who have no tariff, zero tariff, including Russia, zero tariff. So hold on, don't they hate Russia? Why has Russia got zero tariff and everybody else has got tariff? So you see loads of drama going on. There's like back and forth drama going on, but that affects prices. Now, a wise person, when you start noticing things like this, and you know there's going to be some sort of a backlash from all of this, and you know the stocks, bonds, shares, NASDAQ, whatever, you know, FTSE, they're going to smash, they're going to crash from this. You know they're going to happen. What do? You predict that's what's going to happen. There's going to be absolute chaos. What do? Well, you prepare, right? You prepare. And what you do, you execute whatever you've prepared. So you say, that's going to happen. I'm ready to buy, but I'm not buying today. I'm going to wait for that news to come. When that news comes, when that market drops 5%, 10%, that's when I'm going to jump in. And guess what? I've quickly made 5, 10%. That's the kind of a mentality you need to have. So for us in crypto, it's almost the exact same thing. The worst case scenario is actually the best case scenario. So even though we've prepared our exit, it doesn't mean we exit, that's it now, pack our bags, done. No, what we're doing now is we're strategizing what we're going to do next. Now, obviously, these are things that I don't like to talk about on a YouTube because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't appreciate this stuff. A lot of people are fresh. They're brand new. They have no idea what I'm talking about. They just think, there's this Asian dude with a skull on his head, Punisher, right? Of course. You know, what the hell is he talking about? They have no idea because only way you're going to have any idea, the only way you're going to have complete continuation is if you go and watch the first video, the first most amateur video I've done, right? When you watch that, and then you start watching from there, then you start understanding that, hold on, this guy's onto something, this guy's about something. And I think that's where my foundations lie. I'm about something. I don't feel it's necessary for me to come online. Of course, I would love to come online every single day. I don't feel that, right? I'd rather give you the most important information and say, here's your most crucial information. Now you've got that. I won't make a video for a week. I won't make a video for 2 weeks. Now go and see what other information you can gather, you can get from the entire globe. And if that information is better than mine, then by all means, please stick with them. No problem, right? But if you think that the information I'm giving you is valuable, you're going to smash that like button, hit that subscribe if you haven't already. I thought I'll plug it in anyway. But that's not the point, guys. The point is, look, we are coming in a crucial point right now where one decision is you sell. Another decision we have to make is to prepare for the future. Prepare to reinvest those funds. And of course, I've been kind of promoting to people as well and telling people what I'm doing right now. So some of the crypto profits or whatever you would call it, kind of being reshuffled into actual real world assets and whatnot, right? And here's the fun fact. The real world assets that I'm doing right now originally was a crypto project, believe this or not, right? I don't care, it doesn't matter, it's not relevant because I'm not doing that project anymore. The point is, it was originally supposed to be a crypto project. Would you believe that? But because I like the following, I like the hype, you know, I don't like it. I just don't want to go and get fake hype. Do you know that? I don't want to go and promote something fake. I was never going to sell something disingenuous to anybody. I always wanted to sell something that is genuine. And this is one of the reasons why my project failed, because I was trying to be truthful and honest with everybody. People didn't like that. So end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm doing the RWA I wanted to do in crypto, but I'm just skipping the crypto altogether. I'm doing it right now. And I'm promoting to people. I'm saying, guys, you don't have to go through me. Do it yourself. You've made XYZ amount of money. No problem. Put it into something secure that gives you a residual income, gives you a continuous 5%, 10% per year. It doesn't matter. That's 5% more than you had, because you have the risk of losing it all in crypto. What would you rather have? Lose it all, right? Wait there for 2 years, or make 5%, make 10%, make 20%. You might even get lucky and make a 1x, 2x. right? So we're going to make money in crypto, but we got to lock them down somewhere so they continuously grow. Those are the strategies that I'm actually teaching at this present moment. And of course, I'm doing a lot of consultations on that. So I'm not plugging anything, but if anybody's interested, you're welcome to book a session with me and I'll happily talk to you. That's what I'm providing right now. But anyway, leave all of that aside. Let me have a look at who's on the chats. Let me have a look at everybody and see what's going on. I see KR, awesome, my brother. Nice to see you. G-Shock, my brother. Hey, bro. Nice to see you. Pothead says, this sucks, guys. What happened? Faisal says, salam all. Salam to you, my brother. KR says, hope all are well. Been a minute, bloody market. Listen, the markets are fantastic. Remember, we get excited when the markets are bloody, right? So Pothead says, feel it in my guts. Muhammad Jayanga, hello boy, me Indonesia. Okay, well done. Nice to see you from Indonesia. G-Sock says, I'd assume it's something else you feel in your gut. Just an assumption. Cora B says, good morning, superhero. Can you help tonight? I need in a cutting down. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, help yourself. And if you can't help yourself, if you need someone to help you, maybe just get a toy. Do you know what I mean? They usually work. Bubble, my brother, I see you here. Lots of love, man. Always here. Bubble's always here. So guys, this is the situation. You have to flip your mindset. When you start seeing blood in the market, be excited. I've said this so many times. We are excited when we see fear, fear and blood in the market. And actually, talking about greed, our fear and greed index isn't that bad. We had the worst already. When you start looking at a higher time frame, actually, the market's fine. Right? In fact, we have 7 days to confirm another 2 weekly candle. Again, looking super positive. I don't see any problem. We've come to the level where we can potentially reset. Of course, we have the risk that the RSI hasn't completely reset. We would love the RSI to bleed down even more. And that's the part I'm looking at. That's the part I'm saying, do you know what? We've lost 82K. No problem. We might even go and test that 76K. No problem. And if we do test the 76K, we might go and test that 71, 72, maybe even a 70K. So we might blip down, which is brilliant, right? Actually, if we do that, then we also have, and this is how I'm thinking, we also have the potential to go to around 60K. That's a freaking good number. Now, if everything collapses, then we could even potentially go to 40K, maybe even 34, maybe around 37K. So these are the numbers that I'm seeing. And by the way, these are the numbers I'm not seeing now. I've seen these numbers already. That's the beautiful thing. These numbers are already there. I have shared charts, lines on them. Guys, frame those lines, frame those charts. These are the numbers. So we have all of this potential, for us to actually buy into, right? That's how I look at it. So for me, all of this is positive because, guys, once we hit rock bottom, there's only one direction. You realize that? There's only one direction. Because so many people come up to me and say, how can I make that 2x? How can I make that 3x? How can I make that 4x? Well, that's how you make it. That's how you make it. I mean, we went to 109K. You think that's it? Bitcoin's never going back to 109K. That's it. Guys, all your hopes, everything, dreams, forget it, shattered, battered. We're never going back to 109K. Yeah, never. Right? No, that's not the truth. The truth is, we might potentially go down all the way to around 37K, 33K, 34K. Let's just say 34 to 37K. Around that figure, we're going to go there. Once we go there, we're going to jump from there. We're going to do a 5x from there. That's a 5x from there. We're going to do that. So hold on, what's that? Well, 5x from there is 160K. It's not a bad number. But that's just the start of it. I'm not even talking about what numbers we can potentially go to because, again, we forecasted these numbers. I've seen those numbers, right? And the numbers are all the way up to, I'll tell you right now, right? And I'm going to talk about the total market cap as well, what you need to look out for to understand where we are right now and what the potential is. Also, I don't even know if I can see all the messages. So I'll have a look and see what kind of messages we've got. Let's have a look. Right. So what we got, right? And this is, I'll tell you what the top number is. So for me, the highest number I've marked on a chart up to now is $206,000. Now, that number may never come this year. It might take up next year. We might get that next. It doesn't matter. That's marked. That's a mathematical number, right? That's a mathematical number. 206. That's a number, right? Because remember, we also have the 133 to 137. And here's the fun fact. I said to everyone, I said, guys, the highest we can potentially go is 133 to 137. If we get the rally right now, if we get a run right now, and we recover all the way to 98K, this is the number. 98K is the magic number. We go to 98K, then that 133 to $137,000 that we've got as a target, we're going to smash that. And when we smash that, we could potentially go to $206,000. However, if we don't, it's fine. It's fine, because that number is a number that we are going to get to in the future. So if you manage to somehow pick up some crypto, like we said, at $15,500, $16,000 last season, you end up picking out $34,000. Well, where do you think you're going? You're going to 206K. That's a 2x, right? Hold on. Is that a 2x? No, it's not. Hold on. What's that? That's a 6x. That's a 6x. Wouldn't you rather have a 6x than try and make 10K on a BTC, and depending on how many Satoshis you own, how much you're making? But also, hold on. Remember, BTC is the most dominant coin. So what does that actually relate back to? That says, well, hold on. If I'm the most dominant coin, then I have the power to lift the freaking entire market. Now, here's the fun part, right? Because that's what happens when BTC starts shooting up towards the moon, right? I like next season, I don't even know if I'm even going to bother with BTC. Do I really want a 5-6x? You know what I mean? Do I really want a 5-6x? I mean, isn't that what we already did? Right? Do I, thinking to myself, do I? Maybe not. Maybe I'll start looking at other coins, because there are other cheaper opportunities out there, right? When you start looking at some of these coins where we've seen some of them, like, for example, right, let's talk about XRP, because I see my brother Faisal here. He says 98K. But let's XRP. XRP went to $3 and something, right? Great. That was a good milestone to reach. Of course, if we had the power, if we didn't have sell-offs, if we didn't have all the political drama, if we didn't have Trump, that thing would have went to $10. $10 at least. $10 at least. It didn't. Is that a bad thing? Yes and no. Why isn't it a bad thing? Well, I'll tell you why it's not a bad thing. It went and tested, and it broke its previous all-time high. Now, it couldn't sustain it. That's a different story, right? That's a different story. But it broke that, right? No. G-Shock, patient, right? That's what I'm saying. But that's what happened. Now, if BTC, so for example, right now it's sitting at 198 or something, right? If BTC shoots again towards, say, 133K, what's it gonna, what's the impact gonna be? Think about that, right? What's the force gonna bring? The force, right? Star Trek, right? But it will carry some of these projects. You see what I mean? It's gonna carry some of these projects, right? So there are plenty of other projects out there as well. When you start looking at them, I mean, oh my God, here's a good one. I haven't looked at it, right? So WorldCoin currently has 62 cents. I mean, this thing was like $10 at a time. $10. So this is 90-something% below its current market valuation, whatever, right? All-time high, whatever you want to call it. That's an opportunity. That's an opportunity, and I believe in that. And that's the guy who's involved with ChatGPT, Sam Altman, right? So hold on, that's his project. We know he's got a serious ton of money. I mean, this guy was involved in PayPal and shit like that. So this guy's got money. So when he decides to go and do some crazy marketing out there, do you think he's not going to bring money home? Believe me, he's not going to throw money for no good reason. He's not going to put money down the drain. He's not going to make... Come on. Let's be realistic here. You got people like Sam Altman involved, right, in a crypto project, currently sitting at 62 cents. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to market it. But are they going to market it now? For what? For what? Right? Why would you want to put fuel to a fire? Right? If crypto's burning, let it freaking burn. Right? Don't douse it with water. Let it burn. Do you know what I mean? If it's bloody, bleed it out even more. Because the more you bleed it out, the more profit you make. So what the whole conversation I'm having here today, guys. Right? Right? The whole conversation here is you change your mentality. Think complete opposite of what's happening. When everyone's excited, be afraid. When everyone's afraid, be excited. When the price is down, get ready to buy. When the price is up, get ready to sell. But one thing that the entire picture here doesn't have, do not freaking hodl. Don't hodl anything. Don't hodl. Dump the shit out of it if you have to. All right? But whatever you do, don't go and risk all your funds, your life savings and whatever. Always have good discipline. Always invest what you can afford to lose. So end of the day, when the market does shit like this, excuse my French, but it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? It does not matter, right? So let's see. I mean, Ali Sayel says most coins need to do at least 5x just to reach November, December 2024 high. Probably, yeah, exactly. So again, if you look at those numbers, if you look at what's happened, how far they've bled down, of course, a lot of people are hopeful. Oh, I'm going to huddle. I'm going to huddle. What? You're going to huddle for what? Are you stupid? Why would you want to huddle for? Right? Unless you truly believe in something, unless you've literally put money that you can literally chuck away, right? So, okay, I'm going to put $500. I can throw that away. It doesn't bother me. I've got plenty of $500 I can throw away, right? Unless you've got a situation like that, then why would you hodl? And people are hodling because they put thousands of dollars in. Why? Get in, get out, make your money, take your initial out. Be ready for the next phase. You always have dry powder on the ready, right? So that's the attitude you must have. Do you know what I mean? So yes, the market's bled out. A lot of altcoins have bled out completely. A lot of people are still hoping that it's going to recover. Guys, yes, it will recover. There's no ifs and buts. It's going to recover. But don't be that person who hodls, right? You know, rinse and repeat, guys. Rinse and repeat. That's, you know, you wake up every day, right? So, you know, let's talk about ourselves as a human being. We go to bed at a specific time, or, you know, doesn't matter when we fall asleep. We all sleep, right? We wake up. What do you do when you wake up? You know, you might have a routine. You might go to the bathroom first. You might brush your teeth first. Whatever, right? You might go for a shower. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You have a routine. But is that routine just single day, or you do that day in, day out? So if you do that day in, day out, make a habit of putting money in, taking money out, putting money in, taking money out. Do that. Make a habit of it. Okay, maybe you might not do it every single day. But the point is if you've made money, 10%, 20%, whatever. And I always said to people, I said, guys, I can make 360% a year. 365 if I really try hard. But 360% a year. Why? Because I only care about making 1% average per day. That's it. I don't care. So I'm making 3x per year, even in a bear market. So imagine what happens in a bull market, right? So the point is yeah, we can go chase stuff, and we will chase stuff. Of course, it's in our nature to go and chase stuff. We're freaking hunters, right? We're freaking hunters. We're monsters, right? We're out there. We're hunters and gatherers by nature. That's what we are, right? So we're out there. We're going to hunt those gains, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We will continue doing this, but we're going to do it within reason, within limits. We're not going to go and, you know, bet the farm on it and whatnot, right? We're not going to do that. Going to play it slow, take a slow grind. And when we make those 1x, 2x, those are our opportunities to take some off the table. But our focus is minimal. We want to, you know, your mindset has to be done in a particular way where your average is just enough. Like for me, I've got some coins that I've bought very cheap, right? I'm smiling about it because it's hilarious, right? I've bought them very cheap. Of course, I also have other coins that I've bought recently, 6 months ago, a year ago, I bought them. They've bled out completely. But does it bother me? I'll give you an example. Bought something for 1,000. Currently, it's worth like 50 quid. Okay, I've lost 95%. It's gone, right? Does it bother me? Not really. I'll tell you why. I put 1,000 in something else. Well, that 1,000 became 3,000. So actually, how much did I really lose? You see what I mean? So if you start calculating, taking notes of everything that you own, how much you've made versus how much you've lost, and then you find your average and see what your average is. Your average could be 2x, could be 3x, maybe 5x, maybe 10x. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. So I've got coins that I'm still 3x up, even with all the bloodbaths. I'm still 3x up. It's freaking hilarious, right? So yes, I've hit the high point at some stage. I took my initial out. I left whatever, and now that's even 3x up with a market bleeding out. I mean, it's just insanity, right? And I said the opposite, the other side, where I've lost stuff. Some of the stuff is like 99% down. There's one coin I really like. There's a project, it's a lovely project. I really like it. It's down 99.9999%. I'm thinking, is it ever going to come alive? Maybe, maybe not. But the creators of the project, they have mentioned they're not quite finished yet. So we'll give it a chance. Let's see what happens. Am I going to top up some more? Well, guess what? Compared to $1,000 in there, and now it's 99.99 down. I can put a dollar, right? Maybe, okay, $10 and buy more than I originally bought. It's hilarious, but it is what it is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Right? Ali says there's no hope until FBTC stop bleeding. Every day makes new cycle low so far. Yes, and this is the thing. So obviously I don't look at daily stuff. I don't focus on daily. Hence why I don't do daily videos, guys. I'm not that interested in daily stuff. So my style of videos are, or the analysis that I do is mostly predictive. So I'm kind of focusing on what are we going to expect? And I'm trying to prepare the community and say, look, guys, we can potentially expect this, right? I know Faisal's here, so Faisal can probably vouch for this. I did say to Faisal last week, I think it was, we had a telephone conversation, we had a phone conversation, and I did say to him, I said, guys, that's what I feel, Faisal. And he kind of deferred with me, and he said, no, I think we've still got a chance, we might recover. So yeah, fine. There's no harm in that. We could recover. I do want to recover. I want to get to 98K. But when I'm looking at the support resistance clusters and support resistance zones, and now I'm at the bottom of that zone, well, we've peaked through, and that is usually doesn't relate to a good news. We need to now find a stable base, right? And we do have a stable base. We have a stable base around the 78K, but we're too close. That's 69K, whatever, 68,700. So we're touching the base right now. As we speak, guys, we're touching the base, right? I'll just flip the camera over to show you, right? I mean, look, we're touching the base now. Let me move this over, right? We're touching the base now already. So end of the day, that's not good. Also, I wanted to talk about the total. So let me get the total up just to kind of tell you guys what the situation with the total is. So total, I want to show you so you'll understand what this means. So you see this line here. Let me try and focus the camera. Yeah, so you see this line here, this 262. We've lost that, guys. And as you can see, as we've lost that, we don't really have a decent support, if I may say. So the worst case scenario is we can actually go and test this one. Oh, come on, right? This 1.9 trillion dollars. So if we do go there, that's probably the lowest we can go to be honest. I don't think we can go any lower than that. And then we've got I mean, on the high point, we want to go back to $3 trillion. It says 2.93. I'm not bothered about that. It's about $3 trillion. So what you got to understand, guys, is we need to get back to $3 trillion, which I doubt is possibly going to happen right now. However, I do feel that there's more chances of us possibly going to the 1.9 trillion dollars, and that would be like a confirmation. A lot of people might turn around and say, oh guys, the bull market's over, after they've confirmed that. It is what it is, end of the day. I try and tell people beforehand what I feel may happen based on some of the ridiculous maths that I do. So it is what it is. So, you know, end of the day, let's see what happens. Ducator's here. Also, my brother, nice to see you. Selling lots of my coins for profit at 6K. If I regret it, then you should regret selling now. Ducator, my brother, the Bitcoin bulls here. Corrections are corrections, but also, Ducator, what you got to understand is, I'm not talking about a correction. I invite corrections. I love corrections, right? There are corrections. Of course, we have corrections. There's not an issue with that. But sometimes you also got to look at the cycle itself. And this is probably been one of the longest bull runs that we've ever had. This was not a simple, small bull run. I know a lot of people turn around and say, "Oh, the bull run started." This bull run's been going on since 2021, or some people like to say 2022, but it's 2021, I believe, right? I think we hit the lowest point was like 2021 or 2022. Yeah, 2022. So 2022 November, that was the low point, right? And again, we've called for that, and we said, guys, look, if we go below the $19,000, sell your house, sell this, sell that. I've made a video on that, right? And then, and I gave targets, and I gave the targets on Discord as well as evidence, so the truth is always out there. I said, guys, if we hit the $19,800, it was, we could potentially go to 17,000 something, and then if we hit the 17,000, we could potentially hit the 16,500, and if we hit the 16,500, we could potentially go lower. But I didn't say what number, and my number from that point was all the way down to about 13,800, I remember, or maybe a different number, but that's what it is off the top of my head. But that's what I thought it was, right? And we didn't go there, but however, we did go to around $15,500. Either way, I don't really care whether we go to $15,000 or even $5,000. It doesn't matter. What mattered was that we were sitting at $68,000, and I'm talking about 19,000 and telling people in advance, months in advance. And I said, guys, that's where you want to buy, right? That's where, if we go to that level, you do whatever. So looking at the charts, looking at this RSI, looking at all of the MACD and everything, right? When you start analyzing it, the RSI especially, that's a key level here. The RSI is currently not in the safest zone for us to say that's the end. That's because there's two things. When the RSI hits the bottom threshold, that one of two things happens. We're either at the end of the bull market, about to shoot back up, or in a bull market, we can go to the bottom and we've just had our correction and we do a continuous move. Of course, it doesn't matter whether in a bull market or a bear market, overall on a larger time frame, it's just a correction anyway, right? So even when we get a pullback 70-80%, it doesn't matter. So I know a lot of people turn around and say, oh, we had a 30%, 40%. It's fine. When you start doing the bigger data, the 3-month candle, the 6-month candle, and you start looking at the pattern and you see this lovely pattern, you're like, hold on. We just did how many percent up and then how many percent down? Whoa, okay, so this is what's going. So you start looking at the numbers differently, and then you start seeing the pattern. So you have to go on a higher time frame. And I recommend everybody to use a line chart. Of course, I'm not using it on my chart right now. I don't really need to. I don't really look at my chart, to be honest. I'm just looking at the price. I don't really care what the chart is showing me. I don't care what the candles are. It's irrelevant, right? I know a lot of people spend so much time, right, focusing on the candles and the patterns. And like, I've got to learn all the candle patterns. Yeah. Oh, we got this, we got that, we got dragonfly doji, we got this, we got shooting star. Guys, just put a line chart. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what the candle is showing you now. What matters is what's going to happen in a week, 2 weeks from now. If you can predict that, you're the boss. And that's what I'm trying to help you guys with. So it is what it is. If you haven't smashed the like button, yeah, I don't know what you do, guys. It is what it is. Faisal says, yes, we did have a convo, and you said to be very exactly, my brother. You know me, man. Jaffa Clip says, my man, I'm buying the dip. There's no dip, man. There's only one dip, bro. There's only one dip. GK says on repeat. always on repeat. So yeah, I mean, look, end of the day, these are opportunities, as I'm saying to everybody. These are absolute opportunities. Plan ahead, look at the market, respect the market, right? Make sure you respect the market, guys. End of the day, too many, like, and I'm not blaming anyone, I'm not saying anything, guys, but just being transparent with you guys, right? We spend, as human beings, we spend too much time, right, looking outside, everywhere else. What's this person doing? What's this person saying? What's happening here? What's the politics doing? And none of that matters. Absolutely none of that matters, right? What matters is, what are you doing? You come first. Forget everybody else. I don't care what Twitter says, what X says, what Facebook says, what Instagram says, who WhatsApp you. None of that matters. None of that. Absolutely nothing matters. Get yourself, disconnect yourself off social media. Completely disconnect yourself. It doesn't matter. What matters is you. What can you afford to invest? What can you afford to hold? What can you afford to lose? Right? That's what matters. Who are you doing it for? You're doing it for yourself, for your family, for your back. You focus on you. Believe me, the world would come to your feet. You focus on yourself. That's what's important, right? So that's what really matters. You know, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what anybody says, end of the day, right? And of course, when we're doing crypto or when we're doing stocks, when we're doing shares, right? There are different strategies. With crypto, I say, do you know what? Stick to the charts. Forget everybody else. Forget the news. You can predict what the chart's going to do. Coincidentally, the news will just line up. We have nothing but bad news. Nothing but bad news on the news. You know, it's rare. It's really rare. So, I mean, it's very rare that we get good news on the news. We always have bad news, right? Just because something's not falling in line, it doesn't connect. But as soon as something falls in line, boom, it's all connected, right? That's the reason why the crypto crashed. Well, no, crypto crashed because it says it was going to crash. The crypto crashed because a week ago, before Trump announced all of his tariffs, I left a post on Discord and I said, guys, we just lost 82 point something. Please be cautious. Things don't look good. Be prepared for the worst. I had no idea Trump was going to do his Trump thing right now. Do you see what I mean? That's what you got to understand. So focus on yourself, right? Forget everything else. Ignore the news. Ignore everything. If you are going to be trading, if you are going to be buying, look for your opportunities on the chart. Nothing else. On the chart. Nothing else. News, influencers, forget everything. Just focus on your chart. Nothing more. That's it. Right? And you deal with it. Oh, man. Ducator says, yes, Ducator, we've already talked about it, brother. It is, everything is bad. The market is bleeding out, but it doesn't matter. Where there's blood, there's opportunity, right? One man's loss is another man's gain. You have to have that psychology. If you don't, you're not an investor. You shouldn't be investing. If you have an investment mentality, you have a urge, you have the psychology to make money, right? Whatever currency, let's just say currency. Forget money. Money could be anything, but you have the psychology to make money. Well, you can make money from anything. You can make money from anything. Another man's loss is going to be your gain because you're going to do it the right way. Your psychology is, you're losing money, I'm buying that, right? Big company, Apple, for example, Microsoft, for example, oh, stocks bleeding out, whatever, some crazy news came out, right? Stocks are bleeding out. Well, everyone's dumping. Does that mean it's going to be the end of Microsoft? If logically Microsoft is still going to be around because it's the freaking biggest computer hardware outlet out there. So we know they're going to be there. They got enough backing to be still there, right? So unless there's another competitor, that's a different story. Then I'll probably bet on the competitor. But the point is they're still going to be there. So what am I going to do? When they bleed out, what am I going to do? I'm going to pry about it. Oh, well, wait, no, I can't buy this. I'll wait for it to go back to green and I'll buy it. No, I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy there and then because that's where the blood is. That's where I want to buy. So if there are coins out there, altcoins, main coins, whatever coins, apart from meme coins, remember, so main coins, not meme coins. So whatever it is, guys, you have your targets. Have fun, but have fun strategically, right? Remember, you can be empathetic towards people who are losing money because thousands of people, millions of people around the globe lose money every single day. They lose their wallets. People lose money all the time, right? But you have to be that person who says, well, I can't really think about who's losing money. I have to start thinking about how I'm going to make money. If I can make money from this opportunity, that's my opportunity. Whether it be buying crypto, buying stocks, buying shares, buying a house, it doesn't matter, right? You got to get onto the roller coaster, whatever, and then basically go down there. So it is what it is anyway. Usama says, bro, it's time to lick an ice cream. Usama. Ice cream or what? Doesn't matter. Icicle, popsicles, whatever, bro. It's summer. And at the end of the day, you know what? The weather's really great. get out there, enjoy yourselves. But remember, psychology. This entire video is about psychology. It's difficult, right? For me, coming out there, talking to people, there's a lot of people who call me, a lot of people I have to call because it's my job. So I have to make that difficult call, and I've made that difficult call. And I said, guys, this is what I'm thinking. So let's get prepared. So for that, a lot of the people in this bloodbath are people like, not many people, guys. I'm not going to boast here. I'm like, oh, I've got hundreds of people. No, I've got a few people that I work with, but they're very high net worth, and they have dumped all of their crypto. Let's just put it this way, right? There's a few brothers still holding on to Ethereum because they're still in profit. I think they're 2-3x up from where they bought it. Some of them are like 10x up from where they bought it. But the point is the rest of it that they bought fresh back in 2020, 2021, and so whatever they bought, right? They dumped. 2022, sorry, 2022. They dumped. So that's all gone now. You know, so for them, they're now in USD, right? But I'm not saying you do the same, but do what is best for you. Of course, none of this is financial advice. Do whatever you want to do. It's your money, end of the day. I'm not a financial advisor, so of course none of this is financial advice. But be prepared for the worst, and enjoy when it becomes the worst. Buy an ice cream when it becomes the worst. Other than that, guys. Oh man. I know, Ducator, the only thing you're trying to highlight is BTC, and the only thing I focus on is BTC, right? I also focus on BTC. I use BTC as one of my main indicators. I start the channel with BTC. I look at BTC price because BTC tells me what direction the market's going to go. So far, BTC is telling me be prepared and be excited, right? So I'm doing two things at the same time. You know, one, I'm prepared if something happens, and I'm willing to step out and wait for it to bleed out even further. But I have a level, I have a nice level, and I've had that same level for months and months now. And then on the flip side, I'm saying, well, if you're going to reset, then I want to move forward. So on the 2 weekly, I didn't see the RSI reset yet. We still have another week to confirm. And of course, an RSI is a lagging indicator, which means that if I'm looking at a 2 week indicator, sorry, 2 week pattern, then it takes 2 weeks for it to show what happened 2 weeks ago, right? So we've got another 7 days, I believe, remaining. Well, yeah, next Sunday it's going to close, and that's when it's going to tell me what happened last week. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lagging indicator, but it's a good indicator, right? When I'm saying good on a 2 week, you're thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Well, why would we want to know what happened 2 weeks ago? Well, hold on. When that pattern forms, it tells me when it flips up or down, it's giving me the direction to tell me whether it's the right time to buy, get in, or get out. And so far, it's telling me it's a bit iffy. So we have to focus on other time frames. Hence why I look at the other data, and the other data was saying, look, if we lose 82.4, prepare for the worst, because that could potentially come. And so far, we have bounced around the 78,700 or whatever. We've bounced around there. That's another significant level. We lose that. This is where we are. Tomorrow opening, it all matters, right? If tomorrow we open and we decide to bleed out even more, some people wake up, all the traditional markets wake up, you know, Asia markets wake up, and oh, 79K, I'm dumping. And we dump even further. But your psychology needs to prepare for that. You need to be fully prepared. Okay, fine. That's what it is. That's what it is. I'm ready for it. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring the game on, right? You know, so it's your game. It's your match. You're the player. You're in control. Remember, it's all about you. Forget everybody else, right? So other than that, guys, if you have any other questions, let me know. I know I've been going on. I know a lot of people have probably got bored and probably left. I know a lot of people don't appreciate my style of content that I do. It is what it is. But to be honest, you like me or you don't like me, who cares? Right? The reason is because I'm not here for the world. I'm here for the people who want to take some of this information. I'm here for the people who come here when I'm online, like Ducator, like all the other boys, all my regular guys here, right? I'm here for you guys. I'm here for Bubble, right? That's who I'm here for. So the world can go to hell. It doesn't matter. Your loss is my gain. That's what matters. End of the day. So if you have any other questions or anything, guys, any questions at all, let me know. Costin, my brother. Yes, you too, my brother. Hey, hold up. Costin, stay there. There you go, Costin. Yeah. Nah, awesome. I forgot to make you a moderator, my brother. So now you're a moderator. So if anybody misbehaves, you kick him out. Jaffa, are you here for me too? Yes, Jaffa, of course I'm here for you. I'm here for people who come for me, who are here for me, who want the information. I don't, look, it sounds cringy. I don't need you to be here for me. I can fight my own battles. What I'm saying is I'm here for people who want this information, people who are forward thinking, people who say, do you know what? I'd rather be prepared, you know, apocalypse, whatever, doesn't matter. I'd rather be a prepper, right? You know what I mean? That's probably a hint why I got a military design thing. I'd rather be a prepper, prepping for next 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line. I'm ready for it. So that's the kind of people I'm here for. Rest of the world, you know, a lot of people come on, they click, they leave because it's not interesting, right? What's this Asian blooded doing here? What's this goggle eye person doing here? What's this guy? Do you know what I mean? Who cares? It doesn't matter. People just swipe up, swipe left, whatever, right? Who cares? They're losing out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not here for them. Great, move on. So that's what it is, man, end of the day. But as I said, like, you know, I'm here for everybody and I welcome everyone. Guys, we have a free Discord. Go there. I'm not there, you know, and I'm very transparent about it. Look, I've got a Discord channel. I'm never there. I'm too busy. I'm busy with work, right? I've got x.com, right? I never post anything. I used to be very regular, but I don't post anything. Why? Yeah, I don't know. There's too many people out there with large communities who are doing everything to grow the community, to monetize that community, to make money from it. Okay, well, if that was my job too, if that was something I was aiming for, by all means, I wouldn't be sitting here on a vertical live stream. I'll be sitting in some sort of a studio in my bedroom or whatever. I'll make it all wow and this and that, sit there. And I have done that, but not to that with that intention, if that makes sense. I have done that. I've sat in my bedroom. I've sat in my restaurant. I've sat, you know, when I had my restaurant, I sat in my restaurant. I did those videos. I don't have a problem, right? But I wasn't doing it for monetization. I wasn't doing it for, oh, that's it. I need to churn so I can make this a full-time job. Do you know what I would love to do? If I was to do YouTube full-time, I would love to do some of the stuff that I do, like the building work and the woodwork and this and that I'm doing. I do, like, you know, I do a bit of carpentry. I love those. I love to cook. I would love to make a channel based on that. And I love to travel, but unfortunately I haven't traveled for a little while, but it is what it is, right? I've just been working, grinding hard, you know, putting my blood, sweat, right, effort into things that are going to secure my future. And as a brother to everybody, right, to everybody, I've always tried to help guide people. It's like, guys, don't go and waste your money. Don't go and lose your money. And I get backlashes a lot of the time. A lot of people, they're not happy with what I say. They don't agree with what I say. But you know what? It's okay. You know, someone said once, they said, you're going to be on YouTube, you're going to do live stream. I said, yeah. They said, well, bro, you need some thick skin. And true, I need some thick skin. You know what I mean? There are people going to be likers and haters. It doesn't matter. End of the day, we are here for each other. So as I'm doing it for you guys and you guys are there for that content, hence the rest of the people, well, can't help everybody. Do you know what I mean, right? Smash the like, guys. Smash the like if you haven't already. But other than that, guys, is there anything else you want me to talk about? If not, then I won't make this video long. In fact, I wasn't going to make this long. I wasn't intending to make it this long. I didn't realize it's 53 minutes. I literally spoke for 53 freaking minutes. Wow. I didn't even realize that. I'll be honest with you. I did not realize that. Time just flies. You know, when you got so much to talk about, so much info, and you're trying to pass a message through, time just flies through. Time just flies through. But the message today is, guys, don't hodl. Don't be a fool. Right? That's the foolish thing to do. I've done it in the past, but don't do that. Right? Yes, there are some stuff we're gonna hodl. I still hodl. There are some things, but I've bought it cheap. So end of the day, you know, if it's there, it's there. I've bought projects that haven't launched yet that I'm still hodling on to, right? Those are different. But anything I've invested is literally money I could burn. literally money I could set a light to. That's what I've invested. If I think I could afford to lose 50 quid, I want to only put 50 quid. If I think I can lose 5 grand, I want to lose 5 grand. But it's all based on your capacity of how much you can actually afford to lose, properly lose. Because, we say that, but we don't really mean it. Like, majority of the people, you have to get that psychology. So it's all about psychology. That end of the day, if you say something, right, then you also should mean it. Like, if you say I can burn 50 quid today. Like, you might say, okay, I'm gonna go out with my mates, have dinner, and we're gonna spend 50 quid. That's what you burn, right? Because you're willing to eat something. You could eat home and save money, or you can go out with your friends and spend 50 quid. That is what you should invest, because that's what you could afford to burn. You know what I mean? So that's how you got to think about it. You gotta make it to 1 hour, surely. Bro, I don't have to. I don't need to, man. But it is what it is. I don't want to make it 1 hour. Most people only watch the video for, like, I think maximum 2-3 minutes. If you look at the analytics, most people are only here for 2-3 minutes. Right? Most, right? And then there's a few guys, they will stick to the end. Of course, a lot of the guys, they rewatch it as well, and there are some guys that I know, they actually put their headphones on and they listen to it in the background. And there's one guy I know, and I know he's here somewhere, he falls asleep to it, which is weird, but it is what it is. If he wants to listen to my voice and fall asleep, by all means. And then I could be quite volatile sometimes, so I might start laughing, shouting and screaming and swearing at people. That's the difference. Actually, I used to do that. I stopped doing that, guys, because I've had situations and psychological issues and mental issues due to some situations that I've had, especially crypto related, that has happened to me, right? And for me, let's put it this way: 2018 to 2025 has been rocky, right? It hasn't been the best 7 years of my life. Right, 7 is my lucky number. It hasn't been the best 7. So this is my 7th year. And if 7 is my lucky number, then things could change. And funny thing is, things have started to change. So 7 is my lucky number. You see what I mean, right? So 7 years ago, I've had situations after situations, one after the other. It doesn't matter what I did. I've made tons of money, and I've lost tons of money at the same time. In fact, sometimes I've made, say, XYZ%, and I've lost double that. And I'm like, what? How does that even work out? How is that even happening? How do you invest XYZ amount and lose double that? And that's what's happened, right? So I've had situations after situations, and some of them have been so devastating to the point where, like, I got to the point where I gave up, almost, right? Almost. And I was like, you know what? I don't see any other option. So for me, it took a while to kind of recover from that. So I was doing that, but I knew what my problem was. One of my biggest problem was that because of all of these situations happening to me one after the other, I got to the point where I had nothing to do, right? Because I'm kind of bored. I'm looking for a job and XYZ, and I'm just idle hands, right? It doesn't help. So that's what happened with me, and my mental state wasn't good, right? And so for me, like, I don't know, it's just weird. But then I started doing a bit of work here and there, building work and decorating and XYZ. And through that, I met a whole bunch of people, and I got offered a contract job. So I took that on, right? Money was good. I was like, I'll take that on. So I took that on. Actually, that finished about 2 weeks ago. But so I had a small contract. I did that, right? Blitzed through it. I did what I needed to do. Boom, 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 done, right? And everything was good. So then what happened was, because I did that, kind of word got around, and then people started calling me up for little bits and bobs, right? Stuff that takes a day or two to get done. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And it's not bad. Money's not great, but it keeps me busy. And that's what I love. I will happily work 18 hours a day as long as I've got something to bash through with a hammer or screw in with a drill. I will happily do that. And that's what my passion is. That's what I like. I like to make stuff. I like to build stuff. I'm creative. So when I can do that, I'm out there. That's where I'm spending most of my time. So end of the day, it's not about the money. I know a lot of people think it's about the money. Yeah, money pays well, but it's not about the money. It's more to do with me keeping my mind occupied, being creative, being able to make something new out of nothing, raw material. That's what I'm doing. So Jaffa says, no, I'm not, bro. He says, if I'm 37. No, I'm not. I'm 45, my brother. I'm 45, man. I ain't young anymore. I ain't young anymore. Bloody hell. It was a decade ago, you know that? It was exactly a decade ago when I went all in crypto, right? That's when I went all in. Like before that, I've heard of crypto and XYZ, but yeah. No, 45 ain't old, yeah, but it feels old when you got a 25-year-old kid. It feels old. Yeah, feels old. But end of the day, listen, it's not about the age. It's about how you like. Okay, I feel old. I've always kind of associated myself. All my mates are older than me, at least 5 years older than me. So all my friend circle, most of the people, apart from my childhood friends, which is a different story. Obviously, we're the same age. But most of the people I associate with, most of the people I do dealings with, are minimum 5 years older than me, if not more, right? So I've always had a immediate friend circle, like the associations, right? My associates, right, who are all older than me. So I've always kind of felt mature, and of course they've accepted me, and they think I'm mature. So that's always been the case for me, for like 25 plus years now. So that's what it's been. So that makes me kind of feel old. However, at heart, in my mind, right, in my soul, I'm still young. Do you know what I mean? So in my heart, I'm still young. End of the day, so I still feel like a 20-year-old. I'm active. I keep myself fit. Right. So end of the day, a lot of people, I've seen youngsters proper like tanked up, like bodybuilding, whatever. I don't do gym and this and that, right? So tanked up and this and that, struggle with like lifting something, and I'm like, yeah, give me that, I'll do it, and I'll pick it up with one hand, and they're like, what the hell? I was like, yeah, bro, it's not about the muscles. Some of us are just really fit. You're just not fit. You just got the muscles. I'm fit and you're not. So it happens. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, that's what it is. But you know what's aged me more, right? And I have aged a little bit. I've lost a lot of my hair. I've lost most of my hair. I got white hair. But what's aged me more is like the last 7 years was the stress and this and that. So that's what really aged me. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But it's mindset, psychology, and for a brief moment, because I'm usually a very positive person. I look at the world in a positive way, right? And there's nothing bad. Everything's good. Nobody's bad. Everybody's good, right? You know. So there's always an excuse. There's always a reason. I'll always try and justify things in a good way. And through some very, very serious situations, and I have kind of made videos and talked about it before as well. I've talked about it in Discord as well. And this is not this video, so I'm not going to talk about it, but if you have stuck to the end, then you're getting this bonus segment here. But so it was so bad for me that my mentality, my psychology, my way of thinking changed. I started looking at everything in a negative way, and what I realized was it was bringing so much bad energy towards me. It was just unbelievable. So I literally had to kind of stop myself from thinking in a bad way, and then going back to that positive way, because my positive attitude brings me positive energy, and from that positive energy I have positive law of attraction, right? And I'm a big believer of law of attraction. You can't wait for things to happen to you. You have to want things to happen to you. You have to want. So some people say you have to do things to happen. No, first start with wanting something. Right? You want to buy a house? Think about it. I want that house. I want that house. And then you'll see things will fall in line that make that house come to you. Right? Yeah, of course you're going to buy it, but it's going to come to you. So the law of attraction works in a miraculous way, but you have to have that psychology to understand it. And I realized that I was bringing negative thoughts to me, and it was like everything was like doomsday for me. It was like the end of the world for me, to the point where, I mean, when I'm saying end of the world, I'm not even joking. I was kind of thinking suicidally. Let's put it this way. That's how bad it became for me. But you know, I managed to get out of that, so it is what it is. Costin says good night. Love you all. Love you too, my brother. We'll talk. We'll definitely at some stage. But Costin or anybody, all of you guys, remember, if there is something you guys want me to talk about, do leave something on Discord. Just say, Sham, can you do a live? And if I'm free, I'll happily do it. I mean, now I'm kind of more busy than I was. But you know what? I needed that for two things, right? One, obviously, it keeps me very busy, which is the most important thing. And then the other thing is financially, you know, I don't have to rely on other stuff. I'm making more than what I would normally make. And of course, what any social media would probably pay. So it is what it is. And I'm keeping it nice, honest, and humble. That's the most important thing, you know? So other than that, guys, if there is any other questions or any questions at all, let me know. If not, I'm not going to make this video longer. Let's have a proper conversation someday. You know, I can talk about anything within certain limits, obviously. I'll happily talk about it. I don't have an issue. And I'll talk about things, and maybe we'll talk about strategies. Maybe we'll talk about what to do, what not. I don't know. It could be anything, right? You know me. I don't have a script, right? I don't sit here researching a script. I don't have ChatGPT writing me a script. Oh, tell me what to talk to people. Do you know what I mean? It's stupid, right? I go with the flow. I talk to you guys right from the heart, right from the mind, from my experiences, obviously nothing more. So when I'm talking about charts and this is mostly experience that I have in the game. Let's just put it this way. And then obviously me myself, nothing more. So I hope this was informative. I hope this helps somebody, and I hope those of you guys who have watched it from the beginning to the end found value. If you did, you know, do consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm talking to the guys, the new guys. If you're the old guys, then you know what to say, right? You know, smash that like button. And if you're on Discord, then by all means, if you have something you want me to talk about, and remember, guys, this channel 0x5, it's my brand. 0x is my brand. All right. So end of the day, 0x doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean 0x for crypto. Yes, it's kind of related with that, but it's more like x5s, right? So let's put it this way. So, you know, we can talk about anything. This channel here is not crypto specific. We can talk about anything, right? So, you know, as long as it's not political or anything like this. So definitely, I mean, if you have a subject you want to talk about, well, we can have a good conversation, you know? And I would love to also probably at some stage get people on the show. Do you know what I mean? So Bubble, say good night. Bubble, good night to you too, my brother. Yeah, I forgot where you were. I might be coming near to your where you live, Bubble, at some stage. I forgot the area's name. I think it's Huddersfield or something. I'm coming there soon. So if I do come up there, I'll come say hi to you, something. You know what I mean? Got a big project going up there. So basically a massive project happening not far. So you're in Rotherham. So I think it's Huddersfield or something, or Huddersfield. I don't know what it's called. But we're doing a big project up there. So it's a big property project, let's just put it this way. So that's happening over there. Once all of it's confirmed, yeah, I mean, I'm going up there. So I don't think I'm going to be that far from you, but it's up north anyway. It's up north. So yeah, you never know. I might just pop over and say hi to you. You know what I mean? There's a few projects I'm doing in Manchester City, around there as well. A few projects up there. So been running around with those. Central London, there's one project going on at this present moment under negotiation, so it's not confirmed yet. Negotiations. Another one, we're still thinking. Might not be worth looking into that one because it's not that good. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm focusing a lot on properties right now, like, you know, buying and renovating them and then selling them back off. Sometimes buying them and then renovating them and then renting them out. You know, to the point where sometimes even leasing properties. So we're not buying them, we're just leasing the property off the landlords and then renting it out as well. So all sorts of crazy stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. End of the day, I don't really care what it is, as long as it brings a continuous amount of funds and it's bringing more funds than I've put in over a certain amount of time, then it's not a bad investment. That's how I'm looking at it. So that's what I'm focusing on. Of course, when that money rolls over and comes along, then if your initial investments out, you can take that initial and use it somewhere else. And that's the strategy that I'm playing with. It's like, okay, I have a real world asset. I have actual fixed assets now, which are going to grow in value, right? And they don't cost me anything. So that's the idea. Get it to a point where they don't cost anything. But now I've got my initial back and I can use that initial. So it's all rinse and repeat. Remember what I said? You wake up in the morning and you do whatever you need to do. Same way, you have a routine. So we're just doing that routine now, but in property. So all the experience that I've had in stocks, which I've taken to crypto, and now I'm taking all the experience from crypto into property, which is kind of weird, but that's how I'm doing it. It works. But we can talk about this on another video. I don't want to make this video any longer. Next time I'll try and stick around within about 10-15 minutes. I know I don't want to go around there. I know a lot of the guys don't like it, but it is what it is. Other than that, guys, I'm not going to make this longer. Thank you very much to everybody for coming to the show. My name is Sham. This is 0x5. The truth is always out there, and the truth is exactly what I've said, right, in the videos and whatnot and this and that. There's a lot of predictions and whatnot we've done, and you can go months and months back and you can see the data where I've said this could potentially happen within this particular time. And sometimes I'm very specific about some dates, and they do come true. I don't know why, but they do. Can't help it. Don't have a crystal ball. It is what it is. Jaffa says aliens. I love aliens. We can definitely talk about aliens. So at some stage, I will definitely talk about aliens. Why not? I have my theories about that, but I don't think today we're going to make it any longer. Next time, what I can do, we can talk about either crypto or maybe talk about crypto, and then at the end we can talk about aliens. How about that? Right? Because I have my own theories about aliens as well. And yeah, I mean, it's not what you think. So we'll talk about that. But I do appreciate everyone. Thank you very much for all of you guys for coming to the show. I'm gonna leave that one. Bubble says +1. Yes, my brother, +1 to you too. Thank you very much, guys. I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll catch you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.